introduce you to Surbhi Rathore, the CEO of Symbl. While last year Surbhi spoke mostly tech talk with Google's head of machine learning and corporate engineering, this year the conversation will focus on entrepreneurship, raising capital, and scaling a company to the next level. This is an intimate opportunity to learn how to go from an idea to running a business with paying customers. Welcome, Surbhi and John.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. Thank you very much for having me in Surbhi. I'm really excited to be speaking with you today. My name is John Chapman. I am the Director of Business Development at Pivot, a social app for relocated employees. Surbhi, again, it's a pleasure to have you back. I know you were at the inaugural event last year with Google's head of machine learning. This year, it's going to be a bit more of a business conversation and getting to know you more personally in your journey. So I guess to begin, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and tell us more about Symbl, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the opportunity to speak to everyone here. It was last year's conference was awesome that I'm here again, but this time talking about Symbl and the problems that we are solving. Symbl is an AI-powered startup, early stage. We have built a conversation intelligence platform for developers that enables businesses to truly understand conversations and make sense of it so that they can learn about their customers and personalize their digital engagement and customer experience and take their application, product, or workflow to a whole next level. That's what we enable companies all the way from startups to enterprises that are working and solving use cases and problems around sales, revenue intelligence, customer support, marketing, as well as collaboration. Adding Symbl to power the contextual understanding of conversation data and extract actions, insights, knowledge, events that further leads to several workflows that are stitched with their products. So that's pretty much what we do.
Excellent. I appreciate that. And I guess getting to the basics, how did you come to the name Symbl? How did you pick that name? What does it mean to you?
We were not called Symbl before. We rebranded ourselves 1 year after the company started. When we started the company, we had a different name, and it was just me and my co-founder sitting in a room and saying, let's just pick something which has a .ai domain available and that matches to technology and framework, and let's get done with this and move forward and build a product. So that's exactly what we did when we started the company. But a year down the line, when things matured, we raised some capital, financing, and things really looked legit that, yeah, we will be a company and not two people startup working out of a garage. That's when we rebranded the company to rename it to Symbl, which truly represents, the last meaning intensity of every word, language, or sentence or conversation, right? Conversations are built with sentences, which are built with words. Words are built with letters, and letters are all symbols. And learning language and understanding truly the meaning of language is what is represented by the current name of the company.
That's fascinating. I'm glad you ended up making the change, even though I don't know what the initial name of the company was.
I'll keep that for another time.
Yeah, we'll leave that for the next conference. So I guess want to learn a little bit about you, and how you came to start a company. So to start, how old were you when you started programming? What age would you encourage, girls to get into, computer science and technology and other STEM, subjects?
Yeah, absolutely. I think times are so changed now that early on, you're already exposed to tablets and digital devices, even as kids. And it wasn't the same at the time when we were growing up, at least. So when I actually was really passionate just about computer systems and servers. My father was in the armed forces in India, and he was a telecommunications engineer, as a result of which he was always surrounded by technical equipments and computers, even early stages of what he was building. Signals was really the core in which he was in the armed forces. And that helped me surround myself with this technology very early on. I think I was in class sixth or fifth when I actually started building my first programs. Later on, as I graduated from school, went to college. I did electronics engineering, but even within that, C++ was some of my core languages where I was working with, including assembly. If you guys haven't used that, it's an interesting back to the core. And then post that, I started my first job. That was a network security startup where I moved completely from electronics and part software to fully software engineering. And I was just because during college, I was exposed to languages, hardware, software, all different facets of bringing technology to actual use cases. So it was very interesting when I did my first gig right out of college. I was able to understand how software gets adopted within the hardware itself and how those pieces stitch together. And then from there, I moved into a company called Amdocs, which is the telecommunication software provider for big CSPs, and got a really great exposure to looking at conversations at scale. Telcos is like one of the biggest areas where conversation data happens at scale, and building and being involved in the build process and go to market and support and sales of products that solve customer conversations efficiency was really like Symbl in building for a long time. So yeah, and right before starting the company, got exposed to the conversation AI domain, which was bringing virtual assistants to life in the telco space. And with Symbl now, we are solving the problem of the other side of the spectrum, which is how do you understand human-to-human conversations which are happening? Because no matter how many chatbots we deploy, there will still be a human interaction that will be needed. And how do you make that human interaction effortless and an awesome experience, enabling highest productivity? So that's how it all came along.
That makes a lot of sense. And then piggybacking off of that, any word of advice that you'd give to young women looking to get into STEM?
Yeah, I think start early on. STEM is so vast. It doesn't have to be, really software in itself. Follow your passion, get associated with different communities. I think we are at a time right now where all communities have become digital, which wasn't the same prior to COVID and this pandemic. So just making sure that everyone is a part of the community that is actually championing and supporting more girls and women in STEM early on in the life cycle. So I think there's a lot of wealth of knowledge out there. It's really about tapping into that wealth and getting involved early on. And there's an opportunity to do that. So act on it fast. That's all I would say. And don't be afraid to take risk. And because the last thing that will happen is you'll fail and you'll switch and you'll try something else. But no experience is a failure. You always learn from an experience. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a great piece of advice and something I've gotten before. What's the worst that can happen in a failure? You learn and move on. No, so that's great. So moving on, aside from the 2008 and 2009 economic downturn, why did you start Symbl? What was the impetus? Did you always dream of starting a business? Have you always envisioned yourself as an entrepreneur? And why'd you do that instead of, just getting a job out of school?
Yeah, well, I was working for a long time, more than a decade before I started the company. And while I was working, I was really got exposed to different functions in different organizations, all the way from building a core product to supporting it for large customers, to then thinking about building a team, and then eventually bringing new products to market and the process around it. So it's been a great journey to almost touch every side of a company and how things work. And in 2018, when we actually started the company, there was just this, I was exposed to the startups within the ecosystem at that point that were building around the conversation intelligence landscape, and companies like Gong and Chorus and folks that are operating at the intersection of building conversation intelligence, but as a product for end businesses, was starting to gain a lot of momentum and adoption. And it was about time that people were looking for this technology to be available easily and not having to spend millions of dollars in building this and supporting this. And I wouldn't say like there was one aha moment, but it was an aha moment in build for months, where we validated and spoke to customers and spoke to the industry experts, and really came up with the idea of making this technology very easily accessible to developers, so that businesses that don't have huge data science teams or have that data to create models that will help them kind of like do all of this work can actually use the technology upfront. And can also provide a customer experience that their competitors are providing, and they can differentiate early on with little upfront investment. Because as we all know, building data science is partly unpredictable, and and it involves with building talent plus data plus an outcome, which is an equation where all the ducks need to be aligned in a row in order to make it really happen. So we are really excited right now to be working with customers and partners, where we are able to provide the infrastructure layer for conversation intelligence, and they are utilizing it in order to create experiences and really iterate on user experience in order to be able to make an impact to the end user metrics, whether it is reducing agent onboarding time, or reducing call handling time, or increasing growth and sales in dollars, or upsells in their product. So that's basically it.
Great. No, that makes a lot of sense. And similarly, when you started it, can you tell us some challenges that you had early on? How did you overcome them? What was your source of strength and encouragement?
Yeah, I think being a first-time founder is always a challenge.
Yeah.
And there's usually, misconceptions around starting a company, that everyone can just go to Silicon Valley and raise money. And,
That's not how it works.
Unfortunately, not for first-time founders. And also, like I have not done any Ivy League schooling by myself, and I have all my experience working and graduating from India. Obviously, spent a lot of time across different countries and stayed there, but have not really truly stayed in the US. So I did not have a network here, and I did not have the right kind of information early on and access. So I think the big challenge, specifically for first-time immigrant founders, and building a B2B business, is obviously the the balance in between when to raise versus when to build, and when to get the first customer, and how do you align all of this to make sure that you can tap into the network that you want to. So I think those are always the biggest challenges for everyone else. And we were faced through the same zones. And yeah, it was an exciting endeavor to land up to Techstars after our first 6 months, which then was, I would say, one of the core foundations of the company that helped fuel the company's brand, network, accessibility, all of the above.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes a lot of sense. Really interesting. And going back to the women in technology, because we do have a lot of women and young ladies in particular on the line listening in. So definitely want to get your take here. In an industry that has historically been filled mostly with men, was there any intimidation, trepidation, starting a company in the tech space, and how'd you overcome that?
Yeah, I've always been one of the few women in the room since the beginning, just because of the nature of the work that I'm operating in. Initially electronics, eventually network security, then the telco space, and working on products like that. So, women in tech are less, and it's just a fact of the matter. And I think there are some biases which are inherent in the industry, and some biases are too ours to own, which are totally unconscious biases, where you don't actually, it's just inherent in you because you feel that that's what's going to happen in such a scenario. And as a result of which, we will sometimes not object or, stand up, because we will feel that if we do, things will not be taken into consideration. So a big part of the journey of any women in tech is to continue to eliminate those subconscious biases that exist within us, in addition to the audience itself, or the people that we're interacting with, and continue to speak with value. If you add value to the table, like, people are supposed to listen to an opinion that you make, and you will gain respect by work. So I mean, I think it's a we've all learned that as we have grown through and spent years into industries which have less women in tech and industries which have a lot of women in tech, both sides. And learning from mentors, I would say, is a great way to do that. Connect early on in your journey with a women leader who has gone and seen through things, and learn from their experiences and apply those experiences and your intuitions into your day-to-day applications. And that's pretty much what I have done so far.
That's great advice, and applicable in business and the rest of your life as well. So pivoting a bit to your business and your series raises, actually. So you started in 2018 and you've raised, I think, about $6.6 million so far. Around that. Last round was around 4.7 million. Was that a Series A, Series B? Can you tell us a little bit about the process? Was it difficult? I know that's a dumb question. Of course it was difficult, but tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's funny when people ask what was that round, because times have evolved so much that a number that was a Series A is now a seed round, and a number that was a B is now an A round. So, and there are several types of seed. There's like a small seed, a big seed, a middle seed, a bridge seed. So yeah, tons of stuff. But we did a pre-seed round of 1.8 million back in September 2019. And then we did a seed round last year, which was 4.7. We are right now at our Series A kind of arena at this point of time. So excited to grow to the next scale whenever that happens. And that was exciting because the first round when we raised, we were right out of Techstars. So I could see the accessibility to the right kind of investors for the business, which was, introduced within the Techstars ecosystem that led eventually to that round, and us meeting our investors. And Jeff Harris led a round, who's been a long-term speech NLP expert, and he's still on our board, and it's been really exciting to work with him all through. And then post that, as COVID started, the scale at which digital communication adoption happened was totally unanticipated and crazy. And a few months later, as things settled down, people started to realize the value of adding that digital communication component in every single product. And so we, as a result of that, saw massive uptake and maturity in our market. Where we had anticipated that our market will take years to mature, it happened overnight. And that led to a lot of investment upfront for the product roadmap that we wanted to do, that we had planned for the upcoming years. So as a result of that, we raised our seed round and also launched our platform, which was available for developers, which has now been a year so far. And that was done purely on Zoom, which was very interesting. Now it's not, uncommon when you talk about closing deals and raising money on Zoom, but definitely during the pandemic, raising money on Zoom was definitely new for the investors as well as new for the founders. So learning how to understand body language on a video screen without having to really, be present in the same room, which was one of the things that a lot of people would do eventually. When you're raising money, you would meet the partners and everyone in the room. There would be more people. So it was an interesting experience, I would say, but we landed up with great partners, and Crosscut led around, and it's been phenomenal to work with them so far.
Absolutely. And one more question on that. So what sort of KPIs were investors looking for? Performance metrics were they looking for? And, how did you go about setting those goals and achieving them?
Yeah, I think we've always been very bullish since the very beginning to work with a customer. Even if it is a product that we are launching, it very much is a customer first product building kind of an experience. Like, the customer comes first, and to prove that the customer comes first, you have to be working with the customer and be obsessed about proving value to them. So since the very beginning of the company, we've been working with customers while we are building product. And that's I think the core validation that every company that is going from seed to pre-seed to seed, or launch to pre-seed to seed, should obviously think about. So not building the product in isolation, but building the product with customer data and feedback is super critical. That's what we did. In the first round, we had a few customers that were piloting our first SDK that we had built, because we are an API platform and we work with engineering and product teams for them to adopt our technology in their product. And it was a great experience. And during our seed round, we had customers that were using us in production and making it available to their end users. And they had seen like one cycle of value coming out of it. So we were definitely, and I know that, this definition is different for different types of companies. And some companies will only build for the first 3 years and then go to market directly. Some companies will start with customers early on, and it really depends upon the use case that you're building for and the problem you're solving. But for us, because we were not solving, a research problem, we were really trying to understand conversations for use cases. It was very applied, and working with customers gave us an edge of early on understanding the value. So I would say that was, I think, the difference.
Yeah, and very forward looking of you to do that. So I guess moving in that direction. So you started your business, you've raised capital, everything's growing. It seems to be going well. What's next?
Well, next is more money and more customers and more people joining the company and more developers using us. All of that is next.
So everything.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think understanding conversation data is truly critical. And that's what we've been able to build in the last, 3.5, 4 years. And converting conversation data into actions, insights, events, tracking things. That conversion is now there. And now the next is basically converting all this information that is coming into different workflows, enabling predictions, enabling search. Those are some of the key parts of our product roadmap that we are really excited about, as well as making this very easy to consume across different verticals and use cases and industries. And a lot of developers which are on our platform are enabling us to give us feedback and information to do that. We love building with our customers and developers, and that's what we've been doing. And we want to do that so that they can build with Symbl and prove value for their customers.
Got it. That's great. And we're all looking forward to the future of Symbl there. I want to get a chance to get some fun questions in. I know we're running out of time. So, we'll start with this one. So have you changed the superpower you wish you had? I know as a foodie, you had wished, the extra pounds you gained from fried chicken burgers could just melt away. So talk to us about that. Has that
Oh
changed?
my God. No, it's a very touchy subject right now. I'm literally trying to go to a gym every day, and I have to think about stopping the work that I love doing and, just like pausing on it to actually getting out of the house. And it's a challenge. And I truly wish that I could just lose pounds just like that without having to go to the gym. That would be a continued superpower that I want to have and I want other people to possess too. So yeah, definitely.
Well, for next year, we'll have to check in and see if anything's changed for that one. So similarly, and this is something, I tell to our employees here at Pivot, but are you able to get out and do 30 minutes of exercise, just get out of the house, or are you too busy? How do you manage your time?
Yeah, no, it's been a rough couple of years. We have been growing at a hyper scale as a company and trying to build things and solve problems while adopting at the same time. And it obviously comes with challenges to your personal life. And I'm so grateful for everyone else in our company to continue to work with an equal passion, like how it's really like we have 50 founders in the company. It's really like that today, and it's really exciting to see it. I do try to take out time, go for a walk, and get out, get a beer or something close by. Seattle has awesome craft beers, so yeah, and I wish to increase more of that, definitely.
Yeah, that's great. It's important for your mental health to get outside for a little bit every day. Last question I'll leave you with on the fun side. So, what were your favorite places to visit in India as a child and as an adult? Obviously, maybe with COVID, not recently, but how has it been going back to those places? What is it like?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't visited India for 2 years now. It's since the onset of the pandemic, and we have borders locked down and all of that. I haven't made that trip yet, but Goa, which is one of the most popular places, I think everyone knows about it, is like one of my favorites as well. Like every time we get some time, we escape to a beach there and, enjoy the sun, as well as very up north. I don't know if a lot of people are aware about, there's a place called Leh, Ladakh, which is the most beautiful, mountains that I've ever seen and experienced. And it's just serene. So I think that's the two places that I would nominate. Every single person who's ever visited India must go to those places. Yeah.
That's great. Well, you heard it here first. The next Symbl retreat will be in Goa, right? Uh, so
absolutely.
So I guess before I let you go, is there anything else you want to leave the audience with? Where to find you, what to be on the lookout for, anything like that?
Yeah. Well, for all the developers listening to me, please sign up and get your free credits, get started, put your hands on this new innovative technology, see what you can do beyond voice, which is really important for us to move forward as an industry itself. And for everyone else, entrepreneurs, founders, other folks which are listening, I'd love to connect and brainstorm anything at all the way from new use cases to the journey. If you face some problems, hit me up. I'm very available at LinkedIn, very responsive there, as well as you can follow me on Twitter, Surbhi Rathore. And look forward to hearing from a few folks and taking this to the next conversation.
Fantastic. Well, we're excited to have you next year too, and hear about your next series raise and the growth then too.
Absolutely.
Along with that retreat to Goa. Well, thank you, everyone. I think we're out of time here, so really appreciate speaking to you, Surbhi. It was fantastic, and attending this. This has been great.
Thanks, John. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Wow, thank you so much, Surbhi and John. That was such an amazing conversation, and I definitely love, all of the advice to young girls who are looking to get into either entrepreneurship or STEM or any of those things. And I'm in for the retreat in India. So thank you so much for all of that. It was such an amazing conversation.